Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
And I'm Jay Reef.
And today we round out our month of David Fincher. Yes, woo indeed. With our resident Lynch-head Jay Reef. How are you today, Jay?
I'm good. Yeah.
This is an odd one because I hope we're talking about a Best Picture winner. This comes out in a year, and I hope that this is David Fincher's sweep. But we have no idea because currently it's January of 2021. This will come out in February 2022.
When are the Oscars for 2020?
I think it's April.
Okay, right.
It's April, and so they've bumped it a month, and it's all online. Online releases are allowed because previously with your Married Stories, your Irishman, they've also had to do a limited theatrical release to allow them to be nominated, as was planned for MANK, but no.
Right.
MANK? It's Orson Welles.
Of course it is.
I think it's time we talk.
What is it the writer says? Tell the story you know.
Hello, everyone.
Make yourself to home, Mr. Mankiewicz, or shall I call you Herman?
Please, call me Mank.
Mank.
Mank. Mank.
Mank?
This is Herman Mankiewicz, but we're to call him Mank.
Mankiewicz? Herman Mankiewicz, New York playwright and drama critic, turned humble screenwriter, Mr. Hearst. This is a business where the buyer gets nothing for his money but a memory. What he bought still belongs to the man who sold it. That's the real magic of the movies. Thunder, lightning, blood, fire, religion.
Help! Someone save me!
All in one film. That's director proof. That's why I always want Mank around.
I hear you're hunting dangerous game.
Jay, this was your first time with MANK.
It was, yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I may have pulled this completely wrong. Have you seen Citizen Kane?
No.
Ah, good. Good.
Very interesting experience.
Yes, I was. Yes, because I'm a huge fan of Citizen Kane. So the idea of a Citizen Kane movie directed by one of my favorite directors of all time was very exciting. To me. But I'm very glad that we've got this dueling perspective because in my review, which was a 10 out of 10, by the way, it was my first 10 out of 10 I've ever written for the blog. I noted that I don't know what somebody's relationship to this film would be if they hadn't seen Citizen Kane. So, before we get into it all, You're a very intelligent man, but were you confused? Were there parts that didn't sit with you?
Yes, I was. I was a bit confused by many things, actually. I mean, I feel like the whole film would have hit harder if I'd seen Citizen Kane, and I'd have gotten what was going on a bit better. Yeah.
Well, that's a treat.
Yeah.
Got yourself a treat now.
I'm gonna watch it.
God bless William Randolph Hearst.
Ready and willing to hunt the great white whale?
Just call me Ahab. Do come in.
At this rate, you will never finish.
You said 90 days. Well, said 60. I'm doing the best I can.
I've put up with your suicidal drinking, your compulsive gambling, your silly platonic affairs. You owe me, Herman.
Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a court jester. What I want to know is what you think of it.
It's a bit of a jumble, a collection of fragments that leap around in time like Mexican jumping beans.
Welcome to my mind, old sock.
Him, I get. But what did Marion ever do to deserve this?
It's not her. Not all characters are headliners. Some are secondary.
You pick a fight with Willie, you are finished. Mayor can't save you. Nobody can, especially the boy genius from New York.
I removed any distraction, eliminated every excuse. Your family, your cronies, liquor.
Obviously, I want to watch Citizen Kane anyway.
It is that thing of the greatest film ever made, but it also lives up to it. You know, there's a chosen few, The Godfather, Kane, Casablanca, that do just live up to it and are thoroughly enjoyable and very watchable.
I gave you a second chance.
You cannot capture a man's entire life in 2 hours. All you can hope is to leave the impression of one.
Why Hurst? Outside his own blonde Betty Boop, you're always his favorite dinner partner.
Are you familiar with the parable of the organ grinder's monkey?
But Mank is about the writing of the first draft of Citizen Kane, based off. It's a very personal project for Fincher, actually. This is written by Jack Fincher, his late father. It was originally going to be made after The Game. At the time, Jack Fincher was still alive.
With Kevin Spacey and Jodie Foster.
Kevin Spacey and Jodie Foster. I can see Spacey. I mean, not today, obviously. There's a different context to all of that. But I can see Spacey in the role, you know, especially looking at Spacey in LA Confidential. Really has that sort of Mank about him. Not that I don't think Gary Oldman is absolutely exceptional in this film, and it may be his Oscar to take, but again, we don't know. But I can seriously not see Jodie Foster as Marion Davies, because I think that Amanda Seyfried is so perfect.
Oh, she's incredible in it.
If anything, she's the strongest takeaway for me. And every time I watch it, which is 3 now, I just fall in love with her all over again. I just think she's delightful in this film. And if there is an Oscar lock for this film, it will be her for Best Supporting Actress. And then people will be listening to this and going, ha ha.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't know. I hope not.
Sonic.
Best YouTube comments. The last time David Fincher made a film loosely based on real life, it ended up being one of the greatest films of all time. No pressure.
Alien 3.
Alien 3. This film is sort of his first time returning back to Alien 3, not in any sense that people would notice, but with Charles Dance, yes.
Yeah. Because I didn't even think about that.
Because Sigourney's never been in one, and Pete Postlethwaite's obviously unfortunately passed, but he's never really returned to that period of his life. But he has with this, and Charles Dance is exceptional. Just watch this. Can't believe we won't be getting another series of Mindhunter because he wanted to make this steaming pile of garbage.
Okay. Oh boy.
Are you a Mindhunter person?
I need to watch it. I've seen half of season 1 when it came out.
No, I've still not done it.
It was very good from what I watched.
It will be something I get into. Is it going to be completely black and white? Yes.
Oh,
yes,
no.
And that was why the Spacey version didn't get made, because the studio didn't want it to be black and white.
Really?
They said, okay, we'll make it just not black and white. And I don't know. I don't think it'd be a better film, just in regards to Fincher's timeline. Because you look at 7, and in many ways, it's just as accomplished as Gone Girl.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether... I think all that people say about Fincher is that he's the only person that can give you the film that he described in the room on the first day.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
No, that's good, actually. It makes sense.
So I think the 90s version of Mank that we would get, if he was given the full funds and the not Netflix backing, obviously, but the backing that Netflix gave him, bar casting, I think we'd end up with a pretty similar film. I dare say.
Yeah, probably.
Did you like Mank?
Okay, right. I loved the first half.
Okay.
The second half, I was a bit more confused as to what was going on.
You didn't like the are we talking specifically about the Upton Sinclair political?
Yeah. I was a bit confused there. I don't know. It's one of those things where I need to watch it again after seeing Citizen Kane. And I thought the directing and everything was incredible, and the format, and I loved the scene transitions with the script writing on, and the acting was perfect. It was just, I don't know.
The critical opinion has been, specifically with audiences and even with critics, and even amongst Fincher's biggest fans, has been, this is one of the best made films of the year by far. I just don't care, and I'll never see it again. And it's weird that you say, so you're not alone. It's weird that you say that the Sinclair stuff is the stuff that you think would be enhanced by a Citizen Kane rewatch, because if anything, that's the most distant stuff from Citizen Kane. Obviously, you have the machinations of the political maneuvering that's at the core of the middle of Kane. But it's not. I don't think anything would be. I think it'd enrich just having a second watch, but I don't think it'd be enriched by a watch of Kane. I think I think if there's a key word for this film, it's artifice. On a structural level, you've got the old Hollywood thing of the framing device, which is something that Kane completely threw out the window, and Kane's got multiple different stories telling all about this thing. You can't tell a person's life in 2 hours. You can only leave the impression of it. Then you take that artifice to the world of movies. What is the world of movies other than a world of artifice? We're making things that aren't real. I don't want to say that this is a Trump movie, but the world of fake news and that concept, we forget that fake news wasn't actually a term that people used 4 years back. But now that's just lexicon. That's just the phrase that we say. Paddy Chayefsky was writing about fake news in 1970 with Network, but he didn't say Howard Beale is the pioneer of fake news. But obviously, that is the core of this Upton Sinclair business. Is we can manipulate anybody, and we have this grand election evening, and everybody's having a grand old time. Meanwhile, the guy that actually feels completely responsible for it, has to kill himself because he just has, he just can't take it. What did work for you, if anything?
The performances. I thought, just to talk about that scene for a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, which one?
Where he does kill himself.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was it was good. It was well done. Oh, it's just frustrating because I was like, count the bullets.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, Mank. Wow. He's very witty. And I think a good thing, because you watch so many of these bloody films, I think Trial of Chicago 7 is the most recent one. And it's a thing that sort of plagued Sorkin his entire career, is that he makes people ungodly witty and ungodly smart. And by all accounts, by every account, Mank was this smart and he was this cutting. Yeah. And it reminds me of All the President's Men with William Goldman having to tone down how clever Jack Warden's character was, because he was sat in the real life newspaper room and he was like, if I gave this person the amount of funny lines that this guy really has in real life, people would think that I'm making it up. And you sort of get that here with the character of Mank. But he was like that by all accounts, and I think you believe it as well. It's not unbelievable, like every person bloody throwing out an opera reference in a Sorkin.
And that's one thing I absolutely loved, though. Like the character of Mank as a whole. I loved how funny he was and his relationships with like Amanda Seyfried.
Marion, yeah. I've heard a lot of people saying, you know, is Mank. I think it was Chris Stuckman. It was like, is Mank a movie that needs to be made? Like, is this a person that needs a movie made about? It was like, what are you talking about? He's funny, he's interesting, his story is intriguing. Yes.
Yeah, even if I didn't love it, there's still... I still think there was nothing wrong with the character and the film being made about him.
It's a thoroughly intriguing character, very well performed by our dear boy Gary, Roseproof alumni.
Yeah, I know.
Let's move into the actual body of the film then. 10-minute stretch. Here are my nominations. Charles Lederer coming to MGM and that whole writer's room, and we meet all these figures that we know, and the gambling with the coin. That's what I wrote down as my 10 minutes. So
I
think so when you said that you enjoyed the first half more, that sort of old Hollywood, the screenplay, the journal, in many ways it's a bit like Kane. I know this means nothing to you, but
it doesn't.
But Citizen Kane, the first hour of that is so fun and so watchable, and it's about the journalism industry, and everybody's having a great time and everybody's very witty. And then suddenly it gets darker and more depressing, and yes, a little bit slower. Oh my God, he said that Citizen Kane was slow. Oh my God. No. But it does, and it loses its pace. And I've heard a lot of people actually sort of remove the sheen and say that Citizen Kane does get a little bit slower in its second half. But it has that sort of, this is all the joy. Now let's look at the actual truth that is underneath all of that. Why was that working so well for you? That first half, was it setting you up for a film that you didn't end up getting?
Maybe. I don't know. I just liked all the moving pieces, how fun it was, the way it bounced between scenes. And then it kind of just went in a direction different to what I was expecting from how it set everything up. I really enjoyed the first half, though.
Let's talk about the other aspect of this film, which is his relationship with William Randolph Hearst, and chiefly, I feel the heart, the soul. I sound like Bruce Springsteen now. I want the heart, I want the soul right now. Nothing you gotta say. But the meeting at San Simeon, meeting Hearst, meeting Marion Davies on that wooden sculpture. I mean, that's the poster, that's the still, and why wouldn't it be? Let's really talk about Amanda Seyfried in this.
Oh,
so beautiful, so funny, so charming, so sweet, so wonderful. Go.
Right. So I was watching it whilst my girlfriend was on her phone watching TikToks, and then I was like, because of course, and then I was like, look at Amanda Seyfried, and she didn't even recognize her. And then I showed her like a picture of Amanda Seyfried, and she was like, wait, what? That's her. I still don't recognize her. She was so good.
Lay all your love on me. Why haven't we had a Mamma Mia party yet? Little boys who play with fire get their fingers burned. That's the best thing, as people know from listening to our Mamma Mia podcast. Amanda Seyfried is always somebody that I have went to bat for.
Yes.
Even in Mamma Mia. Let's have a weird Amanda Seyfried tangent. Not weird, because this is the culmination, I feel, of a career that I've always has been underrated. So she kicks off, I think it's when's Mean Girls? Mean Girls is 2004. So she kicks off, dare I say, stealing Mean Girls?
Yeah, she was hilarious.
She's hilarious in Mean Girls. She maybe if not steal it amongst the leads, she certainly steals it amongst the supporting performances. Then she's Sophie in Mamma Mia. She's wonderful as a singer. She's she brings all that. Jennifer's Body is a film that I don't actually think lands for what it's going for, but has gained a sort of cult status and people like it. Chloe is a movie I wish was better. This is the bad period. So we've got Red Riding Hood, Letters to Juliet, Dear John, and Chloe. I won't throw, and then In Time. So it's a bleak period. Then she does Les Miserables, where she gets a bit of prestige again. She's wonderful in While We're Young, the Noah Baumbach movie. She's quite funny in Ted 2. And now we're into a different period again. She's in Twin Peaks. Return.
There it is. Yeah, she's great.
Same year, she's in First Reformed, the new Paul Schrader movie, which again she's excellent in. And then I'm saying all of this. I hope that Mank boosts it. I hope she wins the Oscar, and I hope that it leads on to a career where she does more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, to be honest. I thought she was in more, but she's really great. She's a great character actress, and she's great naturalistic as well. I loved her in Twin Peaks, obviously, even though she was only in 4 episodes. I loved her in Mean Girls. I loved her in Mank, and I loved her in what's the other one? Mamma Mia.
We then have our next sort of 10-minute stretch where we meet our other foe in this film is Louis B. Mayer. And Alice Howard as Louis B. Mayer. It's pointless having Oscar conversations now, but I wonder who's going to be up for Best Supporting Actor. Because I wonder whether it's going to be Alice Howard, it's going to be Charles Dance, or if either of them get nominated. In a world, I'd hope both would, but we don't know. It's just so funny and so terrific. His whole gimmick of being able to cry, again, it's that artifice. It's, even the tears are fake. Even at the funeral, that drop of the bloody handkerchief.
I know. That was...
Because it's one thing... Great. It's one thing when he's doing the fake tears to bring everybody back on board to cut their salaries. And you're like, okay, so he's a cold-hearted business bastard. Yeah. But then when he's crying at the funeral, you think, okay, so he's actually crying this time. This is the one person that's got to him. No. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I also love... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, just Mank's face when he drops that handkerchief.
I also love the funeral switcheroo of that. You think we're going into the funeral of God, is it Kenny or is it Spenny? Or, I'm going to Google it. You're all right. That we think that we're going into the funeral of the man that's killed himself. Yeah. No, it's Shelley. It's Irving Thalberg's funeral. Yeah. May the nominations. Mayer's birthday. That incredible birthday with the talk about Hitler, that terrific conversation, leading into the scene that I think will get her the Oscar, which is walking around San Simeon with Mank, and they're just walking arm in arm, and she's relaying all of these different stories, and is talking about how perfect she'd be for Don Quixote.
That was, I think, my Was that the one with the animals and the?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene in the entire film.
Nobody makes a monkey out of William Randolph. I want to say Charles Foster Kane. But yeah, no, it just wins the Oscar. I hope it does anyway. Bloody hell. Into the Sinclair, the sort of stuff that isn't working for you, I feel. The Sinclair change of opinion, where he's made this one flippant joke. You can make King Kong. People believe that King Kong's 10 feet tall, and you can make people believe that Mary Pickford's a virgin at 40. You know, you can win an election, and then he realizes the power that even his flippant little comments have. And there's the real penny drop for me is the black man that they've hired for the video, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm voting for Sinclair because it's 1930 whatever." Thalberg, Mayor, they all know. Black guy saying I'm voting for the other guy. Oh, no, I'm voting for the other guy. We want freedom. Well, we know what that means. More black people and less, more rights, which is obviously the exact opposite of what they want.
Yeah.
Very powerful stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then into, I mean, arguably the best 10 minutes. I think I'd side with you with the mayor's birthday into Walking Around San Simeon. But maybe the thing that's going to win Gary his second Oscar is Don Quixote. He should win it for that line delivery alone. He should win it for Marion Antoinette. Incredible drunk acting.
Yeah, I was thinking that whilst watching it as well.
Some of the
I was thinking
because we forget that it was like cocktail hour was 4 o'clock, and it wouldn't be a Pottstown martini. It'd just be hard liquor, and this was just commonplace. Middle of the day, you'd just start drinking.
Yeah,
and so people, but exceptional drunk acting, some of the best I've seen in some time, and subtle in many ways. And it's not like, oh, I'm a big drunk, and when he is that, it's because Mank's performative himself, and it's that imbuing and release of the worst, possibly worse that Mank could be because of the booze. Wonderful stuff. Great, terrific. Yeah. Do you have any? Have I missed anything in regards to 10-minute stretch?
No.
Tom's Whittler's specific favorite part of the film. I love Orson Welles' The Great White Whale. Let's talk about Orson Welles. Rather famously, I say rather famously. I've never told this story before. I was with a teacher, and I was directing in drama class, and I was in it, and I'd written it, and I was directing. And it was my grand vision. And he talked to me, and I was talking to him about Citizen Kane afterwards. And he said, "I'm really surprised that you don't love Orson Welles more." And I took it and he knew exactly what he was saying. And it's not necessarily a backhanded compliment, but it's not the biggest. And then obviously I did get really into Welles, and he is just this incredible enigmatic figure. I want to say that my favorite Welles moment is in Citizen Kane, but it's not. It's definitely, the French champagne. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson that extends that same French. Have you seen the drunk Orson Welles? Oh,
no.
Incredible. Best moment of his career.
Okay.
There's a California champagne by Paul Masson.
Okay, you can watch that.
You certainly do. And there is a California champagne by Paul Masson. And basically, Welles gets given absolutely everything for Kane. Final cut. He can star in it. He can do this. Off the success of the Mercury Theatre and the radio programs, which some of those radio programs they still work to this day. I recently listened to his Rebecca for the re-release for the bloody shithouse recent version of Rebecca, and just I love the Daphne du Maurier Rebecca, and they just work so well. They just work so tremendously well.
Now, along comes Nemesis. That's Greek for any guy in a black hat. Nemesis runs for governor, and he's a shoo-in to win. Why? Because he's exactly what our Don used to be. An idealist, you get it? And not only that, Nemesis is the same guy who once predicted that our Quixote would one day preside over a socialist revolution. Our Quixote looks into the mirror of his youth and decides to break this glass, the maddening reminder of who he once was, assisted by his faithful Sancho, armed with all the black magic at his command. He does just this, destroying in the process not one man, but two.
And then after that, everything's not a disaster, but everything's truncated. The Magnificent Ambersons, his next film, is famously this gigantic, what people who have seen the full thing call the next Citizen Kane. But it got cut and cut and cut down by the studio, and the rest of the film was burned, I believe. There's not even a chance that we can get a Magnificent Ambersons in the future. There is no Magnificent Ambersons. This entire career that Wells could have had is overshadowed by this masterpiece he makes at 2021, I believe.
Yeah. Well, the casting was quite good.
Yeah.
The actor who played him looks.
Yes, Tom Burke. I think Tom Burke does an excellent job. Is just the right. It's one of those things where it has to be caricature in a form, because that Wells voice and image is so iconic. There's no way around it.
That's what I saw him in.
What did you see him in?
There was a BBC show called The Musketeers.
Oh yes, my ex was a huge fan of it, and she would always comment about it.
Yeah.
Yes. She didn't get me to watch it though. She nearly made me watch Downton Abbey. That was going to be the thing, was that I was going to watch Downton Abbey, but I got kicked out, and so I'll never watch Downton Abbey. But I love Gosford Park.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody needs to edit the sad glimpses into my life that rear their heads in these. I mean, in these podcasts, they happen repeatedly.
It'll be great.
What's next? Oh, Tom Zwiller's specific favorite about the film. I love. Maybe it's a bit of an on-the-nose visual metaphor, but the shadow of Wells, which obviously hangs over this film, especially when you're making it in the style of Citizen Kane. There's no way around it, really. The coin, it's just brilliant, Fincher. You're not making an opera. Oh, but I am making an opera, which he is. I love Hitler Schmittler, which is just perfectly idolizing just how people thought you could blow him off at this time. I think it's the mustache that does it.
That didn't come off like like the Titanic kind of, that will never happen.
What is it, Picasso or somebody?
Yeah.
I'll never amount to a thing. And then when Jack comes in, and that's how she knows that Jack's a good man. Oh, look at his use of color. Yeah, every artist uses color, Jack. Good for you. You're really good. You're really good. That was an Oscar clip. That's a bad Oscar clip for Kate Winslet. Anyway. Then we have Marion popping out of the car. Hello. Just delightful. Just a ray of sunshine. The funeral handkerchief drop that we talked about. And the glass smash that leads us back into, not a flashback, the present. And I love him trying to light the cigarette on the raging fire. That's one hell of an angle to go to light a cigarette. Firstly, with it still in his mouth. It's one hell of a Don Quixote. Finn, Jay, any weirdly specific favourite parts of the film?
I wrote one down.
Shoot.
I wrote when he started writing the script and dictating it to
Rita Alexander.
Rita, yeah.
Lily Collins.
Yes.
It was
also great.
Lily Collins. What was her? She was not a Doctor Who. Obviously Phil Collins' daughter. Not that that's the only thing that she should be known for. But oh God, what was Lily Collins' big break? Was it War and Pete? No, that was bloody Lily James. Lily Collins was in Love Rosie. That was Emily in Paris, which she's gotten a lot of flack for. Apparently that's dreadful. I don't know. I can't pass comments. I haven't seen it. The Blind Side, and she was in Tarzan as a child. After all, Phil did write the music. You'll be in my heart. You'll be in my heart. Speaking of soundtracks, let's talk about Soundtrack Corner. So this is yet another fantastic collaboration with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Oh, they're always fantastic.
They are.
Watchmen,
all the Fincher stuff that we've talked about. Just imbuing that classic Hollywood. There's something else that we haven't talked about yet is the mono soundtrack. Just exceptional use of artifice and bringing us into that world so specifically. It's genuinely exceptional.
Yeah,
and it leads to that thing of that people can't deny that this is an incredibly made film. People just aren't interested in a lot of ways. We can't do Oscar travesty. We don't know what the Oscars are going to be. Best single minute. I kicked us off with 10-minute stretch. Jay, what are your nominations for best single minute?
Okay, so there's him dictating the script. I'd say him meeting Marion while she's up there.
Oh yeah.
I liked a lot of the scenes with his brother.
Yeah, Joe Mankiewicz, who goes on to write and direct All About Eve. Probably, it's an odd time. The film is set when he's not as successful as his brother, but obviously, in the grand scheme of things, he's the more successful. All About Eve obviously wins him Best Director. It's got a lot going for him as old Joe Mankiewicz. As you were.
No, I was just happy to see Tom Pelphrey as well.
What are you happy from? Go on. I'm not up on my Tom Pelphrey.
Right. So there was a Marvel TV show that he was in,
Right.
Iron Fist, which was crap, but he was really great in it. He was the highlight for me. And then I've just seen clips of him in other things, and he's so good, Tom. I haven't seen Ozark. I don't really want to.
Fair enough.
But I think he plays someone in it, and
he plays Ben Davis.
Yeah, and he's so good in it. I'm seeing him in more things, and I'm happy about it because he's really good.
Yeah, and he's really good as Joe Mankiewicz. I hope nothing but the best for all of these people. It's an exceptionally well casted and exceptionally well acted film. Which leads us on to my other nominations for best single minute. I love the drunken fumblings in the bedroom with his wife Sarah. She has to undress him. Because it's a funny scene, it's a sweet scene, it's an impeccably well acted scene. It sort of brings us into the high quality of drunk acting that we're going to get with Oldman, and it gives us poor Sarah, who you know, one could see as a sort of underwritten character, perhaps, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, that reflects how little she was around in his life at this period, and how all-consuming the writing was.
Yeah. Why did he call her poor Sarah?
I don't know. I guess it's just because he's a lackluster husband.
Yeah, probably.
And again, it's just another funny joke. It's another prime example of he thinks that his sort of flippant comments don't mean anything, and yet repeatedly in this film, she says, "No, you're going to stop people calling me poor Sarah." And you know, obviously, the machinations of the Upton Sinclair, all of that comes from a flippant joke. And you could dare say that is being thrown out of San Simeon by William Randolph Hearst and losing his mayor contract, even though his Don Quixote speech is a lot more than a flippant joke. It is also just another flippant thing that he thinks he can get away with. And in that sense, he's not an anti-hero because he never does anything terrible. And we're always rooting for him. But his words, he comes to learn, if there is an arc to the piece, it's coming to learn the power of what his flippancy can lead to. Let's talk about some of these brilliantly flippant lines. Best line. I hope if this gets made, you'll forgive me, and I hope if it doesn't, you'll forgive me. I have... oh, take it away, Jeff.
Every moment of my life is treacherous.
Don't worry, the white wine came up with the fish.
Yeah.
If I ever go to the electric chair, I'd like him to be sitting on my lap. That's a great one.
Fantastic.
I'm toiling with you in spirit, Mank.
I wrote, I can't remember what was said before it, where... What's the name? Sorry, give me a second.
No,
I think Houseman.
Oh, yes, John Houseman.
Says something to him, and then he's about a writer. He's like, what is it they say? A writer said.
Pascal said, if you'd given me longer, I would have written a shorter letter.
No, not that one.
Oh.
But that, where he's saying a writer writes from experience or something.
Oh, I never met that writer.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
I never met that writer. There's an alarm. The alarm is saying he is 40 minutes into his MANK podcast. What's the change? Now, it's an odd conversation, I guess, for you, because it didn't really land with you, but are you falling in with this critical opinion of, I don't know what I'd change?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I need to watch it again.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people are just saying it's exceptionally well made.
Yeah.
But will I ever watch it? I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I think personally it is pretty rewatchable, but it's ticking a lot of my boxes. And also, I think, if I'm completely honest with myself, am I just bowing down to this man that I adore so much?
Fincher.
In many ways, yes. Because it's not my favourite, one of my favourites of his films, especially after this rewatching of them all. But also, no, it's an exceptionally well-made film that I enjoy long stretches of. And as exemplified in my review, which one can find on Carruthers, Leggetter Whoever, at blogger.com.
Put aside gratitude, Mank. That you've done your best work was no accident. I removed any distraction, eliminated every excuse. Your family, your cronies, liquor. I gave you a second chance.
And for that, I cannot thank you enough.
But with credit for a risky undertaking must go the weight of real responsibility. Given your current health, I wonder if you're up to it.
And frankly, I wonder too, but we'll find out.
You may never work in this town again, Mank.
Orson, please.
Then you force me to remind you. We have a contract that you understood and agreed to. If you fight this, it will go to what your new guild calls arbitration, and you, my friend, will lose. Script, money, and assuming such a thing still exists in Hollywood, the respect of those who honor their word.
How can I put this nicely? I may be a loose cannon, But you, my friend, are an outsider.
I do. I think it's a masterful film.
Yeah.
And I very much have enjoyed rewatching it over these past couple of months.
I mean, I had a general idea of the reception to it, but I didn't know anything about it and the complaints people had. So it was interesting that I landed similar.
I have a couple of changes. Oh, God. Yeah, I've got a couple of changes. He loves shooting on... He always shoots on digital because it allows for more takes. And he's famously a take slave. He, shooting over 100 of the San Simeon, where Gary Oldman, he didn't necessarily snap, but he did say, for David, I've been shot this scene 100 times. Yeah, and this is going to be the 101st. And there was the big thing that came out about... Amanda Seyfried shooting the scene 200 times. There was a big article about that. But it always seems it's never really broken anybody. It broke Downey Jr., it broke Gyllenhaal by all accounts. They really didn't enjoy their experience on Zodiac. And Downey Jr. was very outspoken about his experience on Zodiac. But also, the films speak for themselves. We're talking about multiple masterpieces here. However, back to my original point of what's the change, if he's going for this whole artifice, and the film looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But why didn't he shoot on film? If he's all for this artifice and he's all for, and in many ways it does look like it's shot on film, but it can never fully look like it's shot on film.
Yeah. Was it the screen tears they had in, or the burn? What was it called? The spots.
Oh yeah, the cigarette burns. Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed a bit artificial compared to how I've seen them in other films,
including Fight Club.
Yeah.
A great big cock. The cigarette burns on the first watch, I was like, this is a bit kitschy.
Yeah.
But on a second watch, I also felt that way about the exterior Victorville. Felt a bit about that on the first watch, but on multiple watches, they've really, they've grown on me, definitely. My biggest thing, really, is when they made Godfather Part 2, the original cut kept cutting between Michael and young Vito more frequently. And they found that the way, the key to the film's success was to cut down those cuts and make it about 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. I think that's what this film needs. I think there's really chief moments where all tension's deflated because we cut to the present. The suicide, he does the phone call, he rings the wife, and then we cut to the modern.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the suicide. I don't know why that scene just isn't played out. The scene at San Simeon with the glass smash, as much as I love that glass smash, I want it to then lead into Quixote. And it's also the same with the Wells. It's the same with, Wells arriving, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to the organ grinder's monkey, which is a incredible first single minute. But I just feel like I want to stay in San Simeon for 20 minutes and do all of that, and then do Wells for 5 minutes. I don't understand. And it's
that I completely agree. Like, every time it cut back to the present, I was getting into it, and then it would cut back into a flashback, and then I get into that, and then it would cut back as soon as I'm getting into it. And it's just, I wanted more time spent in each thing, like you're saying, in each time. Yeah.
I think if anything, if the film needed anything, I'd say maybe a trim of the present stuff. But then again, what am I talking about? All of the present stuff I thoroughly enjoyed and found entertaining and interesting. So I don't want to trim. I just want it rearranged slightly.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh watched this movie like almost every week on his watch diaries. So and he loves making edits. He famously edited Raiders of the Lost Ark to black and white and then put the Social Network soundtrack over it just to prove that the Raiders of the Lost Ark works no matter what. And I'd love to see his edit of Mank where he rearranges stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And Heaven's Gate as well, which he calls the Butcher's Cut, which is this massive 3.5-hour job, massive failure, box office critical. It's sort of got a reappraisal critically. People are now saying, well, no, it's pretty good. But he just made a Butcher's Cut of it, which was 1:50, which I'm looking forward to watching. Anything left from your notes?
I wrote Charles Dance !
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't really mentioned him much.
Brilliant.
Yeah. He's always great.
And he's also used, I think I made this point in the review, he's used like Wells in that he's used sparingly and effectively. I think if there was a best single minute full stop of this film, it's the organ grinders monkey monologue.
He seemed so intimidating whilst he was doing that.
So welcoming and intimidating. Like when it starts, he's like, "Oh man, come here."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh," he realizes his friend's drunk.
Yeah.
Then he's like, and then he grows more intimidating, and he grows more intimidating, and then he's eventually goodbye, and
His face is just terrifying. I found when he closed the door on Mank.
It makes me want more Charles Dance in the world.
Yeah.
When was the last time Charles Dance had a major? I'm not a Game of Thrones person, but he's massive in that, isn't he?
He was great in that. He was fantastic. Yeah, when that show was.
He's in Gosford Park, but obviously everybody's in Gosford Park. He was in Ghostbusters, wasn't he? Oh God.
Was he?
Yeah, 2016. The remake. Jesus. Oof. Dracula Untold, and The Game is Afoot. He's in all the Underworld movies.
Yeah. Oh, he was in The Crown, apparently.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not a Crown guy. Yeah, it's just. Oh, he was the rich parent in Me Before You. In all of those teen movies that people love, there's always two celebrated actors as the parents.
Yeah.
And he was that for Me Before You.
Oh, he's going to be in the Kingsman prequel.
Oh God, it's so weird that that was like a week off. It was like a week off that coming out, and it's been bumped.
Oh, when's it been bumped to?
Oh, it'll be this year.
Yeah.
Well, not this year when this comes out. We'll have watched it and we'll have gone, yeah, it was fine.
March 12th. Okay.
Which leads us into a few fun facts about Mank. Gary Oldman wanted to wear elaborate prosthetic makeup to closely resemble the historical Herman J. Mankiewicz, but were persuaded otherwise by David Fincher, who wanted minimal makeup for capturing a more intimate performance. I couldn't agree more, David.
Yeah, me too. I think that would have taken out of his performance a bit.
Seriously would have. Prime example, Darkest Hour. Bad movie. Bad movie. Really boring. Yeah, okay, darling. You get to pick a movie. I want to watch Darkest Hour. Lily James is in it. I like history. Okay, I guess we'll watch that. Shit. Terrible movie. And then I went, and then she dropped me off. And then I dropped her off, and then I watched Three Billboards again. You know what? Far better movie.
Yes. I love that.
Darkest Hour. So boring. So bad. So dreadful. You know, even she found it boring. There was a lot of kissing going on because we were both so bored. Thank God it was a mostly empty screening and we could kiss, because I don't know if I could sit through 2 hours of that shit again. And so on all the makeup, it was an Oscar for makeup. It was a consolation prize. It was like Gary Oldman needs an Oscar, and B, it was just it's so boring. Oh
yeah.
This is far better. I really wish that Darkest Hour never happened, because I think people would be talking about this more then they will. Then they will be. Then they did. We don't know. Maybe he did win another Oscar. Amanda Seyfried told Collider that David Fincher made her shoot one particular scene approximately 200 times just to get it perfect. She didn't have any lines of dialogue. I love when people are truthful about that stuff. I hate when they don't say what scene it was.
Oh, did she not?
No. Come on, Amanda.
Come on.
This is interesting. David Fincher and Gary Oldman were both married to Donia Fiorentino. Fincher was married to Fiorentino from 90 to 95, while Oldman was married to Fiorentino 97 to 2001. As a result, Fincher's daughter and Oldman's 2 sons are half siblings. Both marriages reportedly ended in disaster, and it is rumored that Fincher's and Oldman's troubled experiences with Fiorentino became a strong inspiration for Fincher's directing of Gone Girl.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot.
I think we could. That's that. I'm just gonna say leave that there.
Yeah.
Marion Davis claimed in her memoir never to have seen Citizen Kane.
Okay.
So it's obviously written by Jack Fincher. It's a screenplay that's been around for a long time, but it was mainly based originally off of the Pauline Kael critical reappraisal of the Kane authorship, basically saying that Wells never wrote any of it. That's not true. Mankiewicz wrote a gigantic first and second draft, about 300 pages long, and then Wells wrote 5 other drafts, making it a real film.
Right.
And adding scenes and changing scenes. Mank producer Eric Roth reportedly polished the script prior to filming, with Fincher saying he felt early drafts were too anti-Wells, and that's obviously a product of that article. Yeah. Eric Roth, obviously, Forrest Gump writer and Benjamin Button writer. The film was in Barack Obama's list of favorite movies of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no taglines.
Yeah, no
tagline rundown.
Oh, great.
Here's a question, and it's a pretty big question, and it'll end up being our sort of closing comments here. All the President's Men, Social Network, Amadeus, this. Does it matter if a biopic bends the truth?
Okay. Oh boy. I think there's a lot of factors there. I don't know. Maybe it's how much and in what way that it bends it. What about
Amadeus is its own beast, I think, in all of this, because it obviously is helped by the framing structure of it being told by Salieri, and so we can give it not bonus points, but a different value on things.
What about Social Network?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, so people watch Social Network and think it's a documentary when it obviously very much isn't. Zuckerberg said he was never going to watch it. He did end up watching it, and he said that about 30% of it's true, but I didn't start Facebook because a girl left me.
Yeah.
And so I can very easily say it doesn't matter as long as the film's brilliant. But then I think, well, no, because I don't want to be patronizing, but idiots watch these movies and think that they're documentaries. They think that every single thing was true.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not true. And we've seen the real dangerous implications of that with Richard Jewell, with Olivia Wilde's character just being a complete, villain caricature, selling sex for a good story, and the libel suits that have come out of that. because people do. They just watch these movies and they think they see based on a true story and they don't know what that means. And I mean, they do know what that means, but they hope. And I think it's a matter of hope more than anything.
Yeah.
We hope that these are the true stories because it's more entertaining and more interesting that way. Nobody wants a true story, you know, where none of it really happened. Yeah, it is just boring.
Yeah.
So it's a grand question. I think Mank's a different beast. I think. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
You'll never return. Well, no, you will. You. I hope a long life for you, Jay. I hope another 60 years at least, and I hope in those 60 years you'll return to Mank.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you'll ever return to Mank?
I think I will after I watch Citizen Kane. Truthfully, I will. Yeah. Because
it's a glorious beast. Both Kane and Mank. And thus rounds out. It's an odd one. We've had 2-hour episodes in this Fincher-thon, and we've culminated in an hour, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Mank, I love it. I think I will always love it. I think after rewatch, it's never going to be in my top 5 Finchers. No, it's not in my top 5, and it's lower down the list.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not because I hate it. There's lots of people where it's lower down the list because they hate it, and that's, to me, that's just not what's happening. I love Mank. I love Fincher. You know, I can't say that we'll be doing more Finchers in the future because we've done them all now. But I severely love Fincher. I very much enjoy Mank. I enjoyed our time today, Jay. Don Quixote. Ba 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 ba.